Yo, yo.
I was going to cough into the mic. COVID. Good morning.
Good morning. Dude.
Happy birthday, bro.
Cheers, man.
41 years old?
41.
Hectic.
Yeah. So old.
Man, I can't believe you're that much older than I am.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it, eh?
So much more mature.
Oh. So much more mature. Oh, fuck. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's the morning. I feel tired. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm on the verge of getting some kind of illness.
Yeah, the kids have fucking got something going on?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah,
Heaps
awesome.
good. Heaps
so
good.
fun.
Well, let's kick off this one off. We want to say thank you to Tommirock and we want to say thank you to Musos Corner for sponsoring the podcast. Legends.
Hell yeah.
Straight into it, yeah?
Yeah.
So we both spent a lot of money this week, yeah?
We have a problem.
Dude, it's so funny. So last week I was just saying to Josh Bartel that I'm like, I think I'm on top of the gas thing. Like I think I'm doing pretty good. Like because I was scrolling through Marketplace.
Yeah.
And I was like seeing stuff that I would like.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't have that feeling. You know, I didn't have that. I need it.
Yeah.
Or else my mixers are gonna suck. You know that. So yeah, I was like, oh, I'm good now. Like I don't need stuff. And then I spent like $6,000 this week on just shit.
What did you get? $6,000.
Yeah, in about 2 weeks. So I bought a EVH 5150 Stealth. So
Don't you already have a 5150?
I've got a 5150. Yeah. So
Yeah.
any metalhead who knows about the EVH line
Yeah.
knows that they're all very, very different.
Of course.
Like they're all
Voiced differently.
yeah, they're just totally different. Like, I don't need to go into the whole history of EVH, but basically what happened, and I'm probably going to say a few things wrong here, but basically what happened, it started with the 5150, I'm guessing in the 90s or something like that, which was PV.
Yeah.
Then they released 5152. Oh, sorry, it was block letter, which is people get all excited because the in the bottom corner of the amp, instead of the signature EVH, it's got block letters EVH.
Okay.
So if you see a 5150 with the block EVH on
one
it,
that people chase.
that's the one.
Okay.
So and if you can buy that one for under like $1,500, that one's gonna only go up in value. And it's like, I think that I've seen them sell for $1,000, but I've also seen them sell for like $3 or $4 grand.
Yeah, wow.
You know, like it's one of those things. Anyway, so it started with that. Then it went to the Signature model. Then it went to the Signature Model 2, which was the 2-channel version of it.
Okay.
And then it went to the 6505.
Okay.
Then the 6505 Plus.
Okay.
So they had to change the name of 5150 because they sold the 5150 name to Fender.
Yeah.
Because that's the EVH thing, like Eddie Van Halen signature 5150.
Yep.
So that's why they did the 6505.
Yep.
Then Fender brought out their version of a 5150 and they called it a 5150 Iconic. Hey,
Yep.
I've skipped a step. I'll go back. But yeah, this is Fender's version of it.
Yep.
I heard one. I think they're fucking horrible. I think they're awful.
I think
man.
I have heard that, yeah.
Oh, I like,
Yeah.
as soon as I plugged in, like a 5150, it should be one of those things, like I should turn it on and it should be so familiar.
Yeah.
You know, I
should sound
know
like a record.
exactly, I should know exactly how it sounds.
Yep.
This thing did not sound like that. So
Yeah.
immediately it put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yep.
So sorry, I have skipped over, so EVH, when they sold to Fender, Fender brought out the Fender EVH, which was the white amp. Yeah, which was the white one, which is the one everyone knows, that one there. Like you've seen that one.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
So they were pretty cool, very tight, very forward sounding guitar distortion.
Yep.
I didn't like them because they're really, really fizzy. They're quite super bright. Mm-hmm. To me, a 5150 is all about the mid-range.
Yep.
So this one here, it's a little bit too modern sounding. And then I bought the Stealth, which is I don't know what's different inside of it. I know that this is a 6L6. Mm-hmm. Are you pretty familiar with like 6L6 versus like EL34s and
No, not
don't
enough.
know much about that?
Not enough. Like I
Interesting.
know that there's different, like if we're talking like the power amp
Yep,
tube
yep.
stages.
Oh, okay,
there's
so I get
different
to educate
tones.
you on something
Yeah,
technical.
Yeah.
Weird.
Let's
All
go.
right,
Let's
dude,
go.
Weird. All right,
Dude.
so there's excuse me. So there's two. The main things I think in a guitar head that make the main difference to the tone are the power tubes.
Yep.
People say like the preamp tubes, like, yes, they make a difference, but you can swap out all the preamp tubes and you might not be able to tell the difference.
Yep.
I think personally I can tell the difference with new power tubes. Different brands of power tubes, I can tell the difference. So there's the EL34, which is the classic Marshall sound.
Yep.
Which is that mid-range, bright, forward, not much, like pretty tight low end. Mm-hmm. Then you've got 6L6s, which is Mesa.
Yep.
That's that thick low end that really pushed over exaggerated lows, basically.
Yep.
And that's what the 5150 started out as a 6L6 amp.
Okay.
Yep. And
Sick.
then they brought them out in an EL34, which I think is a mistake. To me doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like. Then they brought this one back in a 6L6.
Okay.
So it was like full circle. You know, they've tried this and all this new shit, and then we're back to the original design.
Cool.
Not original design, but the original idea of the amp, which is a 6L6 based amp. So that's why this one, to me, is the most exciting new 5150.
Okay.
I'm super excited about this. I think I paid like $3,000 for this one. I don't know if you can still buy them, the 100-watt version.
Do you already have a 5150
Yes,
head?
so I have the 5152, which is the original one.
Okay.
And the way they sound different is the original one is really like, it's very snarly. It's super aggressive. It's all about the mid-range. Whereas this one here, it's a little bit more full spectrum.
Okay.
Like I hear more lows, I hear more highs. It's much smoother. The distortion is easier to work with. It's smoother.
Yeah.
You know how some amps break up in a really uncomfortable way that's hard to fit in a mix?
Marshall
And Mesa. For me, they're the two amps that I find that the way the mids break up, they're so aggressive that it just sticks out of a mix to me.
Yeah, like I find on a Marshall, there's a sweet spot for the gain, and then once you go too high, it's just all that fizziness in the 4K, and you're just fighting against that constantly.
You did a bunch of recordings with Marshalls recently, right?
Yeah.
Do you find the top end really hard to work with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
It's glassy, hey?
Yeah. And like, it's made worse with like the cabs that most people come in.
Dude,
so I have my own cabs for that.
1960s are like all upper mids.
Yep.
And that's all I think of when I think of Marshall is upper mids.
Yeah.
So putting an upper mid head into an upper mid cab is just like, oh my God. That's why I like them into like, they sound cool into oranges.
Yeah.
Because it like really dulls that top end.
Yeah,
To
cool.
me, like orange have like the frequency response is kind of rolled in the top end and pushed in the low end. Have you had much experience?
With the orange cabs?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Cool. It's a good option if you've got a really bright, thin, glassy head.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. So that's pretty much everything. I haven't had a chance to use that head yet. I bought it because I've heard it on a lot of records, but mainly I was talking to Jeff Dunn, who he's done a lot of really big name stuff. He did Knock Loose.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like so many of like really big bands at the moment.
Yep.
Anyway, loved his guitar tone, so I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll give this a go. Man, I've been trying to. You know how there's like a lot of merit in just trying new things.
Yeah.
You know how like when you're in a situation like you and me, we got a select set of gear that we like and that we know.
Yep.
And we don't really have a shitload of money to be going out and buying new stuff all the time and trying. You know, we don't have the budget of a 301.
No.
You know, I don't have $500,000 to spend every year on stuff to just try.
Yeah.
So we don't really have that luxury. But it's so useful, isn't it?
It's important. It's important to I think we have a bit of a benefit where we can try things out through people we know, borrow gear.
We've also got a benefit that we've got the combined experience of all this stuff.
Yeah,
to put
and
together.
sharing stuff and like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You're way more versed in the heavier metal side of things.
Yep.
I come from a more like 90s, like rock, heavy rock kind of background, alternative kind of thing. So like we're chasing our own sounds in our own spaces, which is so useful. And it's like, but days are going to come where I need that information on the right head. Like what you've just told me now, is invaluable.
Well, so there's been a few pieces of hardware that I bought and I didn't like them, but it was still a valuable experience owning it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Because that unit showed me
how other bits work.
Yeah, exactly. A way to listen to audio in a different way. So maybe something I haven't experienced. Maybe it did a bunch of things that I really didn't like, but it did that one thing that I really liked. You know what I mean? Like and that's the only way to experience that is to just try stuff. Yeah. And unfortunately, we live on this fucking island, so we just have to buy it. Yeah. Try it, and if we don't like it, we sell it. Like
sell it or send it back.
Unfortunately,
or Facebook.
That's what it is. But yeah, I've been trying to. My mindset every 6 months is like, if there's nothing new in the studio, I haven't tried anything new, I'll just go out and buy something new. Yeah, fair enough. I like it can be expensive, but it's a cool way of experiencing new things, broadening my palette. Yeah. And basically I just want to know what the options are. Yeah. You know, whether it be guitar options or, you know, tone, you know, preamps or microphones, whatever.
Yeah, and that incremental increasing of your ability and your sound, I think, as well.
I used to get disappointed when I was a kid because I'd be like, I buy a new thing and I'd be like, this hasn't completely transformed all my work. You know, like what the fuck? Like this guitar amp, my drum mixes don't sound any better since I bought this guitar amp. So, but now I understand that it is like just a series of tiny, tiny little decisions. You know, you fucking spend $3,000 on a guitar amp and it makes a 5% difference to this mix, and you do that 100 times and you've got this fucking really nice thing that you put together.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
What about you?
So speaking of amps,
what did you do?
I got a Vox, the AC15 C2, which is the ones loaded with greenbacks.
Okay, so and is it a new model?
AC15. The AC15, like a newer,
But for people at home, we have a chat where we'll like send each other stuff, and you know, like, oh, I got this fucking thing, and like I saw in the chat yesterday, or maybe it was on your Instagram that you played a new app, and I was like, I almost was going to message you. I'm like, tell me everything about it, and I have to be like, no, I gotta wait for this. I gotta wait till you're sitting here next to me because I don't know anything about this. Like most of the topics that we talk about, we actually haven't discussed at all.
No,
you know,
course,
like we leave it for this so that people can experience the excitement that we feel talking about this sort of shit. So, all right. So with that in mind, so you've got the AC15
I literally
C2.
picked it up last night.
Is it it's secondhand?
Yeah.
What do you know what year or like what?
I haven't even checked the year actually. Right, okay. I didn't even care. Like it was one of those things where
some of these things, like if you buy a 99, it's fucking amazing, absolutely. And you buy a 2005, it's dog shit. Like I'd be interested to know which one you've got. Yeah,
I'll have to double check that. It wasn't something that I was too concerned with that line of Vox amps, because that AC15 run is pretty.
Bro,
I'll look in. I might be wrong.
I've never heard an AC15 sound bad. Or an AC30 sound bad.
No, exactly. Like it's that thing where you know what you're asking for with that. That chimey.
Yes, chimey is the word.
Chimey mids and
glassy high end. It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
For people that haven't, if anyone hasn't heard an AC15, the way I can describe it is, if we're talking about the spectrum of tone and we've got Fender and Marshall, that's usually how I do things. This is the spectrum of tone. I think Fender, Marshall, Vox is here. Is halfway between the middle and Marshall. It's definitely towards that. It's that glassy high end. It's borderline brittle. Very bright, very mid rangey, very forward. Super unforgiving amp. If you fuck up on it, everyone knows about it. But it's like for things like shoegaze, for lead guitars, for obviously anything Queen, Brian May, like that sound. Just quickly, have you seen Brian May's signature amp?
No.
It's got a volume knob on it. That's it.
Oh, so it's like the old, basically like the old AC30. You get his tone and
that's all you get.
Yeah,
like not even that, dude. Like
because the original AC30 was basically that. It was volume.
Really?
It was input, and then a tone, maybe a tone sweep.
That might be, he might have a tone sweep on his amp. I'm pretty sure they had one at Musos, and I saw it and I laughed because it was like, there it is. So it's a Brian. Yeah, look, it's got it's got a volume knob on it. That's it. That's sick, dude.
And it's already voiced.
That's what a fucking baller move, hey. That's fucking
try and fuck it up.
Yeah. Anyway, so like
the only problem's you.
If you want to do like really bright leady stuff, tellies into these things are fucking amazing. Dude. Strats into these things.
The first thing I did was pull my custom telly down. And plug it straight in. It's just that tone. Like,
I've done a few recordings.
Play some minor sevenths and shit into it, and it's like done.
You know that. So my favorite thing about an AC30 is like a full chord and just that full range. I've done a few recordings where I used it as the rhythm guitar amp on a heavier, not metal, but a heavier rock. I think it was with Eat Your Heart Out we used. Joel has the AC15 hand wired.
Nice.
It's fucking, dude. It's like I've
used one of those.
We went to Musos and Joel played the normal one, and then we played the hand wired one, and it sounds like you would hope it would. You know what I mean? Cool. Like someone's like, "Oh, here's the hand wired version." I hope it sounds. It sounds like that. It's fucking so sick.
So look,
cool.
Beautiful amp. Does that thing.
My other question: why'd you buy one?
It's been one of my amps that I've always wanted.
I mean, it's an easy question to answer. Like it's it's if you should own a 57, you should own an AC30. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things.
It's definitely one of those go-tos. So like, I have lots of artists come in with Marshall heads or Messer heads and stuff like that, if that's their thing. And I've got a cab that I built that's fitted with a vintage 30 and a greenback.
Yeah.
And usually they'll bring in their cabs and I'll be like, nah, we're not using those cabs because they're usually like those old, you know, the Celestian GT75.
Fucking MGX or some shit.
Those gross cabs, right?
Throw in the bin, dude.
So, So I have that set up for them when they bring in their heavier amps. And I fully actually intend to build like a Plexi style amp at some stage, like a DIY one, like a Marshall Plexi.
Oh yeah, cool. Yep,
And a couple of other amp heads, like 15 watt heads. I want to do some DIY ones soon. That's for a later time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
Plexi should be easy, right?
Yeah, it's
Right?
not too complex.
Yeah, keep going.
Anyway, so I have artists always bringing in those kind of amps, so I'm not going to buy one at this point.
Yes.
But I have I have the Roland JC60, the vintage JC60.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I have that.
which is the JC120, the half watt version of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone, so the JC120
and a single
is,
speaker instead of a dual.
right, and the JC120 is the Metallica clean sound.
Yeah, Metallica
That's what it is.
and Limp Bizkit too.
It is.
It's the Wes Borland thing,
What's that song I'm thinking of? You know the song. Starts with a clean intro. It's
like all the songs?
No. Okay, anyway, keep going. I keep interrupting you.
Anyway, and then like rearranged. That's the bass riff. Anyway, whatever. My Way? Is it My Way? Yeah, it's in my head now. I need to know. Is it,
oh shit!
Is it My Way? That one? It's My Way.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was gonna fucking sit in there like a fucking brainworm. Anyway, so I've got that, and that has that vintage chorus and vibrato circuit in there and all that, so it's worth a fortune. That thing, like, it's worth way more than I got it for. So I have that tone, and it takes pedals really well as well. So I needed something that was going to give me a different clean to crunchy, kind of tone, and I've wanted a Vox forever.
Yeah, because so you've got the JC, which is a solid state.
Yes,
and so this does that clean, chorusy tremolo thing really nice.
Yeah.
Now you've got something that does a bit of breakup, which is really nice.
Yeah,
cool.
And then I want to eventually get something a bit heavier as well,
like
probably
Plexi?
something high gain. Yeah, like I'll either go like the Marshall Plexi route or a Mesa route or something like that.
And DIY it.
Yeah, I can definitely do DIY stuff for anything Marshall. There's heaps of stuff on that.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of my next go-tos.
My Plexi was built by Earthquaker Device. Sorry. Oh, they're gonna. Oh, I'm fucking their names up. They're friends of mine too. Fuck.
Get him.
Oh fuck. They're from Sydney. It starts with E. And they're like they make pedals and shit. Oh, dude. Hang on. Bliss Drive. Pedal. Not Chase Bliss Pedal Empire. No, it's Australian.
The only one I can think of is Earthquaker.
Devices, that's not.
That's not them.
Oh, I don't know. Fuck, I don't know why.
It'll come to you later.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Anyway, so mine was made by a custom guys in Sydney.
Yeah,
so it's like a hand wired like custom thing.
Nice.
Which sounds like the same thing that you're going to do.
Yeah.
What's your ethos when you're buying guitar amps? What's your thinking behind choosing one?
For me, it was just what do I need? What do I need versus what artists already bringing in? So what can I offer different to artists?
And when you say need, everyone owns a guitar amp.
Yep.
Everyone who plays guitar owns a guitar amp. Anyway. So when you say need, it's because you're not happy with the quality of the instruments that people bring to the studio.
So like often the biggest problem I found was their quad boxes they'd bring in, their extra speaker cabs.
Yes.
So that was the first thing I fixed in my studio was get my own speaker cab, as I said, with like a greenback and a vintage 30, and I have those tones, and then they can put whatever head on top of that box.
Yes.
Done.
The cab makes more difference than people think.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the biggest difference.
I'm going to lend you my cab IR, my load box.
Oh yeah.
You haven't used one yet?
I haven't used one. No, I've got it. Yeah.
It's the simple fact that you can go different cab, and click between it and just go, yep, no, you know what I mean? Like as opposed to give me 2 hours, guys. I'll just fucking
set everything up.
and then by that time you lost your objectivity, right?
Yeah,
and not being able to flick
and
between
the vibe. Yeah,
exactly. So just being able to flick between, it's so sick. And it
yeah,
I don't miss mic and guitar cabs, and it doesn't give me there's nothing I get from it that I'm missing now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, I can't get these mics or these positions or, because you can get all that. Miko is fucking really good. We've got to, you've got to use that a bit more, and we've got to do a thing
video
on it because I've been using that one too.
I've actually been using a lot.
The thing we're talking about is Miko Sound Labs. Yeah, so these guys were really nice to us, and they sent us this
some demo stuff.
This guy here.
Yeah.
Which is their what Mitch and I are talking about is running a load box on a head and using a cabinet impulse response instead of using real cabs.
Yeah.
So the load box takes the load of the head so that you're not doing any damage to your tube amp. And then in the box you put an IR up which mimics what a speaker does to the sound.
Yeah. And then the benefit of that is obviously you're not miking up a speaker in your room, which might have issues.
Silent recording too.
Yeah. And like the phase coherency might be better because
it's done by someone who knows what they're doing. Like,
exactly. And there's not like it's not in your room where there might be inherent problems. So there's definitely benefits to all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. The
question I was asking, what I meant by that was is when you're looking to buy a guitar amp, because it's a different kind of purchase, right? Like musicians aren't bringing in microphones, so you need to have all the microphones. But musicians are bringing in amps, and often they're nice amps. So often you don't actually need, So for I'll answer my question. So when I'm looking for amps, I'm thinking, okay, what sounds people want, and what stuff do people have? Yeah. So everyone's got a 5150. I don't need to go and buy another 50, even though I just did.
How many do you have?
I mean,
they have two.
Yeah. So everyone's got a 5150. I mean, not everyone's got a 5150 stealth.
Yeah. So and it's also because you're doing a lot of that stuff. Like that's a tool you're going to use every day. For me, the Vox is an amp that I've always wanted for myself, for my own personal use. But it's also one that people don't bring in often. I've only had one person ever bring in a Vox, even though there's a few. I know there's a lot around Newcastle because they're on Facebook Marketplace all the time. The bands I'm working with are mostly doing heavy rock, heavy rock, or like 90s grunge or shoegazy stuff, like even Love Like Pumpkins and that. So it's like that is the amp that some of them are bringing in Messrs, some of them are bringing in Marshalls, and it's like sometimes that's not the tone they want. Especially like the Marshall might be the tone they want on some of their songs, but then sometimes what they actually need is something a little bit less overdriven and just crunchy. And definitely when they go to their cleans, they want that little bit of grit that they're not getting or able to get from something like a Marshall.
Something I've found that's really hard with owning guitar amps is that you need to own so many. Like I personally, I think that like there's some guys out there that have one or two and they get everything they want out of those. I think those guys people are working in very, very niche fields where they're only recording one genre. You know what I mean? Like if you're a metal dude, you only need a fucking 50 whatever, you know? If you're a shoegaze guy, get an AC15 or whatever. Like but I find that as soon as you step outside of one or two genres,
you need all of them.
That's why I have so many, is that like and for example, you know, I might not use this amp for many, many months, and then I'll have a band that'll come in and that's the exact amp that they need. So I can't get rid of it, you know? So, and I got a fucking stack of them there. They take up so much room and I use them so little, but then there will be that one time where I use that one and I can't get anything else to make that, have that sound.
I get it. And look, that's kind of my ethos on it. It's just, that's the one that never really comes in that probably I should have for those kind of sessions. And I know it'll come in clutch. I've literally got a session tomorrow where I know that amp is going to be useful.
My train of thought with buying amps in particular is get the ones that you know everyone wants and needs. So I have, you know, I got the Plexi.
Also that.
The 5150 and then the fucking, what's another one in there that people, the Mesa, like the Mark V. And then have a couple extra pieces, maybe a boutique one like the Bad Cat, you know? People never see those things. And then, like a specialty piece that maybe, you know.
I feel the same about all the gear. If it's hardware, if it's microphones, I feel like all of that is the same for that. Like, what are the pieces I'm going to need, and then what are some tools that are going to make me achieve my sound the way I want to make a record or produce a record with an artist kind of thing. So I've got kind of that 90s ethos on a lot of things, and they're the sounds that I like, and they're the kind of artists I'm working with a lot. So
cool.
That's kind of it.
All right, cool. So we both bought new guitar amps. Can I ask what you paid for it?
Do
you want to tell?
Yeah, I can tell.
How much was it?
$550.
What?
Yeah.
That's so good. Bro, do you know that Lachlan bought a...
Yes.
For $400?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So he messaged me the other day and he was like...
Was that an AC30?
It's an AC30 head and cab.
Yeah, that was psycho.
Dude, so my intern, Lockie...
I saw the short go up on Insta, and when he said $400... I cried and I was jealous as fuck.
He messaged me.
Fuck you.
He messaged me the ad and he was like, "What do you think? Should I do that?" I'm like, "Why are you fucking talking to me and not that guy?
Yeah,
get out of here. Go and go and buy that right now."
Yeah.
So yeah, Lachlan bought.
I was spewing. I missed it because I would have snapped it up.
So the AC15 goes on. Sorry, the AC30 with the standard single spacer AC30 goes up for, I think, on average between $600 and $800 ish. Yep. I think like in Australia in the used market for a decent one, I think between
an AC30 single speaker combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, anywhere from I'm seeing them from six to
1,000, let's say. Yeah. So for you to get one for $550, that's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then for Lachlan to get one for $400 for a head,
that's psycho.
Unbelievable.
I was so jealous.
Yeah, I said to him, I'm like, you buy it or I'm going to go and get it right now.
Yep.
So yeah, he's super stoked with that.
Yeah, he didn't have I can't remember what speakers he has in his. It's something stock.
Right.
And
okay.
that, so he's got to change out the cab.
Right.
And that.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd be interested to know, like the cab probably sounds cool, right?
It'd be interesting. The two main go-tos in the modern Vox amps are either those blue Alnicos, that's one of the versions they do in the C15s, AC15s, and then all greenbacks. I think a greenback is just, you can't go wrong.
The only guitar cab I've ever heard that I like in my whole life is a Mesa. I don't like any other guitar cab. I've never heard Marshall. I've owned Marshall, Orange, Mesa.
What was in the Mesa? Vintage 30s?
Vintage 30s. Yeah. Always vintage 30s. And they're the
vintage
G12,
30s.
yes. And I think mine is the 2000s, which I think is the golden era for vintage 30s. Do you know about that?
Yeah. So it's like there's like a 2002 one where it gets real bad or something like that. But it's like just before that, I think 90s.
Okay. Yeah. 90s, 2000s.
There's a bunch of videos on that online.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Guitar cabs. You're a fan of greenbacks, are you?
Love them.
Yeah, okay.
Love them.
Not for me.
But you know what the funny thing is? We're doing very different styles,
you like
and I think it's
mid-rangey thing. I liked mine to sound a bit scooped.
Yeah, which is the difference between those two speakers. Yeah. I've got to get better at using the Vintage 30. Like I haven't used it enough. I just go straight to the.
How does it go having more like different types of speakers in one cab? Like, do you not have phase problems? Do you not have power issues? Like how?
No, like they're going to be driven differently because they're different wattage.
And you know how like that people put them in cabs in like an X formation?
Yeah.
Is that for phase or is that like, is there a reason for that? Like
there's different ideas about it. Yeah. I did a bit of reading about it when I did it in my cab, and like any of those potential issues are pretty negligible, really, because like. How hard are you driving your speakers in a small home studio anyway, wattage-wise, right? You know, you never even get into 20 watts, 25 watts on a speaker. So whatever.
On paper, it's a really cool idea, like having different types of speakers in the one cab.
Yeah. And
I've never heard it. I've never done it before.
It's sick. Like it's really cool to be able to go maybe like, I'm going to record this artist, and if they're going to record like straight live or something, for instance, and then break out into a lead, you could have the AC30 for their rhythm and then the Vintage 30 for their lead, or vice versa, or whatever the fuck you want to do. Like it's kind of cool. And once again, like I'm all about like with the 500 series stuff and all this kind of stuff, like I'm all about having colors to work with, and having those different speaker colors is useful.
It's a great idea. Like on paper, it's really, really cool.
Yeah. So it's that cab that I've mentioned is a 2x12, just with a greenback and a 30, and that's where I started with. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of guitars, I got something else I want to show you.
Here we go. Here we go. What's he gonna get? Is this something you bought?
Yeah.
Oh God. I think we need to. What's up?
Screen capturing that. It's like really blurry on the.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Fuck, who cares?
Yeah.
So did I tell you that?
Did you buy this recently?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So did I tell you how I was like hunting for a new HM2? Oh, shut that door.
Maybe.
Yeah. So
maybe.
Have we had discussions about HM2s?
No.
So.
Explain to me the HM2.
Oh, I fully forgot to screen record. Oh well, fuck it. So the HM2.
Do you want to record it now, just in case, or?
No, it doesn't matter. Who cares? All right.
This pedal looks insane. I don't know if anyone can see this, but it's got LEDs on the eyeballs. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's sick.
I love it. I love that.
You know what else you'd really like about that is they glow, like they change intensity with how hard you're playing.
Oh,
Yeah,
mad. Love that.
All right, so this is a
Classic heavy
I'm going
metal.
to give you a really bad, quick education on the HM2, which
Yep.
someone's going to kill me for this because HM2.
I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, right.
But
These
that's
are
cool.
like
Because there's the metal zone,
Yeah.
and then there's the heavy metal.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
metal zone is the one you don't want.
I don't
the heavy
know,
metal one
I
is
don't
the
know
one.
the first thing about that pedal,
Okay.
but anyway, so this is like the Swedish death metal chainsaw sounds that
Yep.
really like over the top, like everything's distorted.
Yep.
You can see everything's fucking on 10.
Yep.
Because that's just the way
That's
you run
where
it.
you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sick.
yeah, these are like super popular in the extreme metal community.
Okay.
Dude, people would joke about this because you can't use it any other way than that.
Yeah.
Than everything on 10. Like you probably could pull stuff back and do,
But it's not the sound.
It's just so over the top.
Yeah.
Like I'll show it to you one day. It's maybe have I ever sent you something where the guitar tone is just stupid? Like it doesn't sound like guitars anymore. It just sounds like
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what that is. So I really like this pedal. I really like the tone it imparts, but I don't like that it's just on 11 all the time.
Yep.
So I wanted something that had like a usable kind of tone, similar kind of sound, but with a mix knob.
Okay.
This was recommended by a few friends. It's the Abominable Throne Torture.
Cool.
They're not new. They've been around for a while. I haven't had much chance to play with it. It's got an EQ like the HM2. It's got a clean, so this is a volume for the distortion circuit of the pedal.
Okay.
And then the clean circuit of your amp.
Yeah.
Which is fucking rad. Like
Cool.
having two separate.
So you can blend it.
Yeah, and not just having a mix knob, but having two separate, right? Having two separate volumes. That's so sick.
That is very clever.
Low, mid, and high, whatever. And then this is a distortion. I think this is just for the level of distortion.
Okay.
So we've got a bypass for the pedal, and then the second one imparts a clipping circuit.
Nice.
So it changes the tone a little bit.
Yep.
I think it tends to brighten things up because obviously you're clipping things, you're making more distortion. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, HM2
Bit
clone.
bitier.
Yeah, really fucking aggressive. I watched a couple of videos. I was looking for like an HM2, and I watched a couple of videos, and people were like, oh yeah, this sounds really good. I wanted something that sounded so extreme that it's just like way over the top.
Okay.
And so I was watching a video and this guy was like playing it. He's like, yeah, I kind of like, I wouldn't really recommend this to anyone. It's too much. Yeah, I was like, that one. That one. That's the one I want. Yeah. So
dude, that's what it is, right? Like,
yeah, I wanted really something that was really fucking extreme. So yeah, can you give that a go?
Sick.
I did you see that video I put on my Instagram of like sending some drums through pedals?
Yeah, I've obviously seen you do that before.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
really
cool.
done it that much, but man, that one was really fun. Like, and I used it in the mix, like the distorted. Yeah, if you want to go to my Instagram, check it out. It's like the second to last third video I posted. I was just putting like drum room mics through different distortion pedals.
Yep.
Yeah. Ended up using them in the mix. Really cool.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do more of that kind of stuff. You know, like just manipulate weird sounds, and it created something that I've never heard before.
Cool.
Which is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Mad.
Yep, cool. All right, what do you got next? You got more. So
let's keep going.
Yeah.
Ooh,
New
baby.
stuff.
All right. This is a big one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hype around this.
This fucking broke the internet. This one, didn't it?
Oh, it's craziness.
Yeah.
All right. So
Show us the box. What's in here?
go. Here we go.
You got that header?
Throw that over there. Sick. All right. So we have in our hands
Yeah.
the Behringer 73.
Yeah, Behringer's.
It is
73.
Behringer's 1073. Feel it.
This is a big deal. Yeah. It's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy.
Okay.
It's got a big output transformer in it. It's got an input transformer that looks a little bit different to the sort of Carnhill thing, but the output transformer looks the part.
Yep.
I don't even know if there's... there should be shots of the internals because there was on the videos they released.
73. How do you feel about the enclosure?
It's rugged.
Yeah. Do you like enclosures?
I prefer them to have an enclosure like that because it stops noise.
Bro, when they're not enclosed, it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like I could touch things, I could break an op amp off, you know, I could,
Yeah. I've got lots of ones that are open because of the DIY projects I've done.
So they're noisier when they're open.
They can be.
Right.
They can be.
What's the go? Why?
Because shielding of components.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just better. I think they should all, really, I think all 500 series should probably be enclosed just for noise from each other.
Yeah, right.
I do notice some of my things are noisier.
Yep.
Anyway, whatever.
Here we go. That's the interior there.
Yeah. So you can see, like, we've got that big Carnhill style output transformer that you'd expect in an Eve.
Yep.
Yeah, and then its input transformer is some Midas one that they're using. Yep. I have tested it out. We did... Yeah, check the knob, the Carnhill knob. It's a cheaper potentiometer in there. It's not a Grey Hill switch.
Yeah.
It's not like the Grey Hills that it should be.
Knob a blind, right? That's a 4 out of 10. I want to fucking.
Yeah.
Duke. That's what I want to feel. But
yeah, the modern Eves aren't like that either, though.
Yep. I mean, I'm not bagging it out. This is just a pure, like, my reaction to touching.
If you've used a real, like a Neve or a Neve clone, they've got the Grey Hill switches, which have this thunk.
How good is that?
Yeah. But the modern Neves aren't like that.
So one thing like that you would, I know you feel the same, is that when you use a piece of hardware all the time, the way it feels makes a big difference.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's this thing worth?
400. Yeah.
Dude, for $400, like
400 in Australia, we get smashed on everything. So
for $400, you have no say over anything, really.
No.
You can't make any comments on the way it looks, the way it feels. It's all about how it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that, tested it out.
Yeah.
Interestingly, big bottom end, exactly what you would expect from a Neve. Shooting it out against so far some things like the DIY RE73.
Yes.
Where it seems to be different is the upper mids are less forward.
The upper mids are less forward than the
less
DIY.
pronounced than like the DIY RE73P, and like that's probably one of the best Neve clones that I have.
What about the Sound Sculptor?
Same again. Like the Sound Sculptor is brighter again, actually.
Okay.
Especially when you have the EQ inserted.
Right.
But the 73P is my favorite Neve. Like, you know, when you put a bass in, my ultimate test for the sound of a 73 is a DI'd bass.
Yeah.
And that, I think that shows you the characteristic of
because you can measure the amount of low end, and you can measure the character of the breakup
mids and the breakup
distortion
and stuff. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I tried it on voice, and it was actually, it felt clean, and it was actually very noise free. It was good on a voice. It actually was flattering on a voice, the way a Neve should be.
Yep.
But as soon as I put the bass into it, there is a tonal difference,
Right.
but not in a bad way.
Right.
Maybe I would like to see what this is like compared to something like, you know, your Great Rivers that are a bit darker version of an Eve.
Yes.
That's what this kind of reminded me of. It's a little bit darker, bit more increase in the bottom end, and a little bit less of the upper mids. It's subtle, like always. Always subtle, but not a bad preamp.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
definitely usable.
Yep.
I used it on as an extra, like I use my 1073s on like kick and toms, and this ended up on an extra tom that I had a third tom that needed a Neve on it, and so it was on that, and it sounded good.
Man,
it was cool.
1073 for $400 is...
Yeah.
This light on the disc is going red.
It's gone red?
Yeah, I feel like it was green before.
You reckon it might have stopped recording? Like the disc might be full?
I'm not sure.
No.
It should be red, right?
No, yeah, it should be red.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just keep going. We're almost through this anyway. So
Yeah, cool,
thanks, dude.
cool.
Appreciate it. We're also.
Yeah.
That's for audio.
Yeah,
whatever.
video.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
I'll have more on this soon, but yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting to do a whole kit through it versus a whole kit through anything else? You know, like any other 1073.
Yeah.
Something else that's worth noting, that anyone that poo-poos Behringer, with, like, you know, you can poo-poo Behringer, that's fine.
Yep.
But it's also worth noting that Behringer were bought by Midas a few...
No, Midas bought Behringer. Behringer bought Midas.
Right.
Yeah, Behringer bought... So Music Tribe is...
Right.
Music Tribe is their whole umbrella corporation.
Yes.
And essentially Behringer bought Midas.
Okay,
Because Behringer is really the company, but they call it Music Tribe, so it's not just Behringer, right? They own so much stuff.
But what that means for the consumer is that now half of this gear is Midas. Half of this is Midas hardware, which is actually quite good.
Yeah, and then like there's people that would say the modern Midas stuff is just Behringer rebranded, kind of in a way. But there's stuff that comes along with that. What I can say is this about their current lineup. I've got that 369, the 33609 clone. Great piece of hardware.
Yep.
This it's on par with that, like sonically. Like
Yeah.
they're doing something that is a bit more into the prosumer market now.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to obviously rebrand and reposition themselves
Yeah.
into that warm audio kind of
Yes,
space,
yes.
obviously. And we've
Yeah.
talked about that before.
Yeah.
But they're doing it. They're doing it. It's cool.
Yep.
Is it a piece of gear that you could use in your studio so far? I would say, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Totally. Yep.
And that's crazy. Like a $400 Neve.
Yeah.
Like, what would we have done for a $400 Neve back in the day?
Just
like,
not have one.
yeah,
You just you don't get one.
yeah, like yeah, because back in the day
There was no such thing.
There was no such thing.
No.
So like it's the luxury of all that.
Actually, I'm just trying to think when clones first started in Australia. It was Warm. Hey, like Warm was the first.
There was BAE did the first Neve clones, the reissues.
I don't call
and
those.
then
I don't call those. Like yes, they're clones, but when I think of clones, I think of cheap.
Yeah,
Right?
okay.
That's I mean,
okay,
I
like
mean,
not a
cheap,
recreation.
Yeah, like cheap accessible clones.
Yeah.
So Warm was the first.
Warm would be one of
right.
the first,
like
yeah.
I bought my 1176. That was the first 1176 I owned. No, it wasn't. I bought the purple first, and then I bought the Warm. But
Yeah.
I bought the Warm. I think I had a couple pre's, a couple of their mics. Yeah.
Yep.
So they really started it out. Man, they were cheap when they first started.
Yeah.
I bought the 1176 retail $500.
That's crazy,
Isn't it?
Back then,
What are they worth now? Like 1,200? Like
yeah, probably. Yeah.
Warm 76. $1,100.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah, fuck yeah.
One other bit of gear.
Keep going. What else you got?
All right, this is an exciting one as well.
Yeah. Mic
Back
parts?
into mic parts. So,
What's it called? Can I
it's
look it
the SDC-84
There it is.
snare mic
Snare mic.
because there's different versions.
Snare.
So, what mic parts have done is create a clone of the KM84, not the 184.
Yep.
So what we should
Well, first you
distinguish
should
right
tell
now.
people what mic parts are.
Okay.
Yep.
So mic parts are a microphone kit company. They make like recreations or like kind of clones.
It's mostly kits, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mic Parts is all kits.
Yep.
It's owned by Matt McGlynn. I've
Yep.
featured him on my channel before.
Yep.
And he also owns Roswell mics.
It's heavy. I like that.
Transformers,
Oh.
right? So what we should talk about here first up is that the original KM84 is transformer coupled on the output, right?
Yeah.
So it has a transformer, the KM84, the
Yes.
vintage one.
Yes.
The KM184
Yep.
is actually transformerless.
Right.
So what Matt even says is like, really, it should be called a TLM 184 because you know, like the TLM series.
I hate that.
TLM is all
Transformerless.
transformerless.
Yeah,
So the
right.
184 is a transformerless version of the KM84. It is not the same mic. It's not the same design.
Right.
What Matt's done here is do something more faithful to the actual 84.
Looks really good.
And then what he did was what I love about the snare version. So there's two different versions. There's the standard version, which is, you can use on acoustic instruments, stuff like that. This is the snare version.
Yep.
So first up, higher SPL.
Okay.
Right? It's got like a circuit design that lets it be right on the snare drum where you want it. The original KM84 needed padding. Like you'd have to have pads on the output
Yeah,
stage to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
And you could still overload the capsule and things
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Because it wasn't really made for that.
Right.
So this is made to be
On the
right
snare.
there on the snare
Right.
next to your
So
57.
how many dB can it take?
As much as a 57. You really have to crank the gain. It's
10,
crazy.
10 dB pad.
That you're probably looking at the, I don't know if you're on the snare.
High
It's a
SPL.
high SPL.
Yeah, high SPL, just, yeah, so it's-
yeah, it can literally take whatever a 57 takes.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and it needs the gain.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So yeah, is that 380 AUD? No, that's
that'll
American.
be US.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what did the mic cost? What did this end up costing?
It didn't cost me. They've
Okay.
sent this to me
Okay,
to
all right,
build
all right,
and do
all right.
my usual build videos
So let's
and stuff
just
on.
say you go 380. Let's go plus postage, 400 USD
Yeah.
to AUD at the moment is $600.
Yeah.
Roughly what it's worth, and then you have to build it yourself.
Yeah, and you still have to build
Right.
it. Yeah.
How's the build? How hard is it?
It's-
That intimidates the shit out of me. I've never built anything.
There's not that much to it because it's a small circuit. It's got to fit in here. There's not that many parts.
When you say there's not much to it,
but
what do you mean though? So like,
I would
are
say
you-
it's
are
like
you
an
wiring-
intermediate difficulty.
So are you wiring to a circuit board? That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, so you got to put the components in that circuit, but there's not a lot of parts.
How long did it take you?
I did it like a psychopath
Yep.
in a few hours before I had a band coming in that I needed to
That's
use
right.
one.
So say the layman who
Yeah.
has soldering
A day.
experience a day.
A day. Give yourself a day. Give yourself like 6 to 8 hours.
Chances
you
of
definitely do it.
Wrecking components
Low.
low,
Low.
but it is there.
Yeah, oh, of course. Like if I wouldn't recommend this for anyone's first project. You should be starting out on things that are cheaper, like pedals
Like
or
what? Like a pedal? Okay.
guitar pedals, DI boxes,
Okay.
all that sort of stuff. But if you're confident in your building and soldering, this is definitely one.
Cheap option.
The other thing I should mention, it's hypercardioid.
Right.
Right?
For snare
So-
is perfect.
Yeah, because you get that off-axis rejection to where your hi-hats are.
Yes.
It is ridiculous.
Cool.
The rejection, I've got to still send you some files.
Yeah. You did
I
send
had
me some demos. I liked
sent you-
it.
yeah.
It sounded great.
Yeah, it's a bit darker than you were expecting.
Darker than I expected.
But
yeah.
the original, what we started talking about was the original KM84 is dark.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's flat.
Okay.
It's flat across
Cool.
everything. So it should be flat.
So just while we're here, in terms of 8.4 budget options, you've got the just off the top of my head, the OPR 184. OPR 184 is it? Microphone. I've been chatting with these guys. We're talking about trying out their new 251. Super excited about that.
Crazy. So keen for that.
Yeah. So Open Plan have an 84? Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this is OPR's his version. So that's 600 for a pair. Woo, that's
so
really cheap.
Yeah, he does himself.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So there's another one, the Bee's Knees Lula Fett. So these, I've heard these. They sound really cool. I know a lot of people really like those.
Yep.
Looks like they're half price, which is funny.
Yeah. So that's 680. Yeah.
And then there's this option.
Yep.
What else is there?
That's about it. I don't know.
184 clone microphone.
There's not a lot. And then once again, this is made. This one's particularly warm do one.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, once again, this is transformer coupled, and it's more true to the original circuit topology. The hypercardioid capsule.
That's really cool.
Is so good.
Yeah.
I just did a session last week where I had it next to the 57, and the rejection difference is insane.
I'm not surprised at all.
It's just ridiculous.
The rejection. I mean, the spill on a 57 is ugly and yuck.
But the difference in volume of spill, the amount of spill getting into the mic because of that hypercardial design, just craziness. So
Cool.
very, very cool bit of kit. What is more exciting to me is if it is, and I'll have content on this soon, if it is good as a 57 replacement on snare and other high SPL sources, what else could we put it on that might be good?
Snare, high SPL sources.
Or high-ish?
Well, like guitar cab? Yeah? Is that what you're going to say? Yes. Yeah. Bro, have you heard of 184 on guitar cab?
I haven't heard of 184.
Great.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Well, I'm telling you now, this would be better.
Okay.
It's unreal.
Nice.
It's more forward in a cool way.
Nice.
It gets detail like a small diaphragm condenser should.
Yeah.
So you get a bit more of the articulation compared to a dynamic mic.
Yeah.
But none of the harshness.
Yeah.
It's cool. And because it's got a hypercardioid, that pickup from the back, you get a little bit of extra proximity, which could be cool too. But it's not bad proximity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So I've used it on a couple of things
Yep.
and was very impressed.
Yep.
And it's that thing where it's this mic could replace 57s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been looking for that for a long time. Everyone's chasing what's the thing that can replace the 57, the inherent problems of a 57.
Yeah.
This might be it.
It's funny that people are trying to replace a dynamic microphone with a condenser.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, look, there will always be a place for 57s, even as a blend.
Yeah.
But this, for me, could be the difference between mostly 57 and other mics versus this mic takes charge in a blend.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's an interesting one, and I'll lend it once I've finished my recent sessions I've got coming in. It's coming to you.
Okay.
I'm so keen to hear you use it.
Yeah, sick. Cool.
Yeah.
I've got a session next month, so I'll give it a go.
Hectic.
Is that all your new stuff?
Yeah, that's it for me.
So the only other thing that I bought this week, man, I bought a pair of Coles 4038 yesterday, but I was sitting there at dinner. I was sitting there at dinner with Stevie, and I was saying to her so I just spent $3,000 and a bit on these mics or whatever, and I was thinking of you and with your distresses, and I'm just I just sent a stranger thousands of dollars. And I don't even know if he has these microphones. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, and I really
a big one.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
I really hope that he just sends them to me. You know? Like, yeah. If we talked about this last week or the weeks before's episode. Mitch bought his distresses, and they took months to arrive. And you were freaking out thinking this guy had fucking scammed you, right?
Yeah, I was very worried.
That's in the back of my head all the time now, dude. You fucking freaked me out. I feel like I've gone through years just being blissfully ignorant, totally. They'll send it. It'll be sweet. And I haven't
was this Facebook Marketplace?
It was a reverb listing. And
that's a bit more secure.
He sent me an invoice, so I think it should be okay. But anyway, the actual the microphones themselves. Coles,
so let's do you want to tell?
Yeah, we'll just talk about these for a little bit. So the Coles 4038. I've never used them. Mm-hmm. I've never even seen them in person. I've never touched them before. You know, I know fucking nothing about these mics. The only reason I know them is I know a lot of people I like use them. Yeah. That's basically how I do my purchases a lot of the time these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Like, what are the recordings I like, and then what did they use on those? That's fair.
And I think that's totally fair. And it comes back to that thing of like us living on a fucking island. Like, I can't try. No one in Newcastle owns these. Yeah. I know the boys from Vacations had some, but they've gone now. So yeah, no one's owned them, so I can't borrow them. I've heard them on heaps of recordings. I like all those recordings. I know a lot of people who I look up to. They use them. They like them a lot. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things, right? It's like, do I wonder forever, or do I just bite the bullet and I buy them and I see if I like them? And if I like them, they work their way into my mic locker, and if I don't, I just sell them. Yeah,
I'd be really, because you already have a bunch of ribbons too. Yeah, I'd be really keen to see if you do think you need them still, and then where they fit in. Yes, because that's what we've talked about in recent episodes too. Is like, we buy these pieces, and sometimes, you're like, yeah, that's cool, but it's not what I need to fit into my workflow and my puzzle of mixing and stuff. So I'm keen to see that.
I have a couple of items at the moment that I'm like, they're cool, but if they were gone, I'd be fine. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I think the way these will slot in, in terms of ribbons,
Tell me, Mitta.
They're a short ribbon, no?
They're short, they're quite short. Okay,
so that's interesting because I always associated short ribbons with a high, like long ribbon, low end, short ribbon, high end. That's what I thought. Yep. Anyway, I listened to a bunch of demos. They're arguably one of the darkest ribbons on the market. Mm-hmm. So I've got the R88, which is the big stereo ribbon. I've got the 121, which is I think of the 121 as quite mid-range.
Is your 121 a clone or a 121? Yeah. OPR? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I think of the 121 as, so the R88 to me is big, full range, realistic, kind of true to whatever you put in front of it. Yep. The 121 is like a mid-rangey, tight, like not much bottom end, forward upper mids, great for guitar. Yep. Basically like a mid-rangey ribbon. Yep. I then have the OPR pills, which are a RCA44.
Oh, nice.
Knockoff, which I only like. So the other day I was saying to Lachlan, like, oh, dude, I'm going to buy an RCA. I'm going to buy an RC44. And he's like, you've got the 88. And I was like, different mic. What are you talking about? He's like, it's the same fucking mic, just two of them. Yep. I didn't know that. Like, of course it is.
Yeah.
Like a R44.
It's the same exact ribbon motor.
R44 and R88 is just a stereo R44, you fucking idiot. Yeah. So, I don't need those. I got one. No. But then again, I can't have the R88 where I want it and then the R44 where I would want it in the room. So that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, so. What 121 I touched on. So the R44, it's a pretty, like my OPR knockoffs of the R44, the clones, they're pretty like low, mid, heavy sounding microphone. Yep. There's not much in the way of high end. Not much mid range detail. It's just a lot of soggy, thick lows. Yeah. Okay. So I like them on like rooms and that sort of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. Where I think these will slot in, I think they're going to be a nicer sounding version of that. I think they're going to be a little bit brighter from what I've heard than my OPRs. Mm-hmm. The reason I bought these is because I recently did a recording at Wood River where I used the ribbons, the one I walked everyone through like two things ago. Yep. I really liked that. So the thing I was missing from that was more low-end room information. Yeah. I had heaps of high-end splashy room stuff going on. I want more of that meaty 300, that kind of like kick you in the chest kind of shit. Mm-hmm. So I've seen a couple guys use these down low I used to do that with my ribbons, but then they've gone out to the garage, which Joe has a nude stereo ribbon, which I'm going to start using in the garage, I think.
Yeah, cool.
Don't know much about those. I think it's just like a poor man's R88, right? Like it's a Blumlin.
Yeah. I know the one.
Nude ribbon.
They're another Australian company.
Yes,
Yeah.
another cool Australian company.
Yeah, shorter ribbon. It's a bit more like the Roya, the stereo Roya.
122.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
shorter ribbon.
Yeah. So Joe's
That
got
one,
got this one at Wood River. I'm going to start using that in the garage, and I think I'm going to.
I'd be interested to see what you think of that because I've used it's the SF12.
Right.
Is the stereo.
Fantastic.
Is the
That's a
Roya.
cool sounding mic.
You like that?
Dude, yeah. You don't like it?
No,
Why?
I hate it.
Why?
It has the SF12.
Yeah.
For me, had none of the bottom end that
Yes.
I want in a ribbon.
Okay.
It was very
What were you using it for?
rolled off overheads. I used it as overheads and I used it on drum rooms. We had one at the TAFE. when
I
worked
used the
there.
one at the TAFE.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded fantastic.
Hated it.
But then again, so you know how you go into a new space, you don't know the monitoring.
Yeah.
And I was only listening to the overheads. And like, how
Yeah.
often are you only listening to overhead mics?
Yeah.
Like, they might sound cool, but anyway.
I've used it a bunch and then I used my RM5s.
Yep.
And my RM5s shat on that
prefer those,
SF12.
right.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
There's not a cheap.
It's not a cheap mic.
Yeah, not a cheap mic at all.
Yeah. They're very mid forward, and it could have just been the room at the TAFE too, because the
Yeah.
TAFE room
The
had
TAFE room
issues.
sounds funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's phase issues in
$5,000 microphone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
But that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason I was inspired, I wanted to buy more ribbon mics because I listened to a bunch of recordings lately where I could just tell there's shitloads of ribbon mics used, especially on the drum kit. You know that Goldie Boitier track I sent through to our chat?
Yeah.
There's this song I've been obsessed with, or actually this artist I've been obsessed with, named Goldie Boitier, I think is how you pronounce it, because she is France. So obviously can't play it here, but if you listen to this album, Cowboy Gangster Politician, one of my best friends put me onto this, and I have not stopped listening to it. I'm
gonna listen to it on the way
bro,
home.
I'm obsessed with the way this thing sounds.
Yep.
She sounds like Stevie Nicks.
Oh,
like
nice.
so much to the point where I played it to a few older mates who'd be like,
Is this Fleetwood?
is that Stevie Nicks?
Yeah,
Like, and the recordings, listen to Body Heat.
Okay.
Dude, so this is where I got the ribbon mic on the hi-hat thing.
Oh.
So this is where I sent this
Dude.
thing to the chat because I was like, okay,
Yeah.
chat, how do I get this drum kit sound like
Yeah.
this? So this recording is what inspired me to buy more ribbons because I feel like I can hear what I think is like an R44 in front of the kit,
Yeah.
like in that position right in front, that
Yeah.
paddy kind of like cool 70s thing. And I swear it's a ribbon mic on the hats.
Yep.
Which is what inspired me and Lockie to do hats ribbon. And then I told you to try it.
Yeah.
And you tried it?
It was fucking unbelievable.
Talk to me.
Dude, it
tell
was
me.
the hat sound
Yes.
I've chased
Yes.
forever. So compared to a condenser, like
Yeah.
standard convention is like a condenser. Sometimes people
SDC.
use it, or they'll use a 7B
A
sometimes.
184
used.
or a SM7B is
Yep.
used, or a C451
Yep.
AKG. It's one of those three.
Yeah, and obviously like a SDC is going to get that real quick attack of your hats.
Get the nice transient.
and that, but like I don't need that often in a hat.
Sounds terrible.
I want trash. I want that. I want a nice upper mids.
Yep.
I want a nice I want 4K.
Yep.
But it not sound shit.
Yes. You want
and
it smoothed out. Yes.
And I find that any SDC and any dynamic mic I have, it's the wrong upper mid tone.
Yeah.
And I put the ribbon on there,
Yep.
and it sounded exactly trashy in the right way,
Dude.
and I was like, why has no one done this?
Dude, so like I've never seen anyone use a ribbon on hats in my life.
Yeah.
And I did it and I was like, did I just invent something? Like,
Yeah.
did I just, like, me and Lachlan were just like looking at each other going like, this is it.
This is
Like,
the one.
Dude.
Yeah.
So we used at Sawtooth, we used a M160.
Yeah, the M160,
Which
yeah.
is like I listened to a bunch of ribbon mic comparisons on YouTube, and the M160 is very voiced, very high mid, like very,
Yeah.
not much low in information.
If anyone
going
wants
on.
to know what it is, it looks like a longer
Let's just
SM58,
do one here.
and it has a very, very small, very fine
Dude,
ribbon
have you
motor.
ever seen one in real life?
Not in real life. I've seen like videos of them.
How big do you reckon this microphone is? Just like have an honest guess.
58 size?
Right, so
Little
like,
bit longer?
Like how big do you think it is? Dude, they're this long.
It's smaller.
Dude, I went in there thinking this thing's going to be a two-hander, like a fucking, like a big boy. Yeah. Yeah, because like it looks like a big 58, doesn't it?
It does.
It was
tiny. I know the ribbon motor's tiny, isn't it?
Man, it was that big.
Whoa.
Tiny microphone. Like I was honestly so shocked. Anyway, yeah, so that one, that people really like those on Guitar Cab because they're really upper mid focused.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can get it right up close.
On hi-hats, that was, it was so... yeah, so it was a combination of using this on hi-hats, hearing this recording that I was just speaking about, and I just want to use more. I want more ribbons on the kit. Yeah. So yeah, I took the plunge. I'm gonna see what these are like. In terms of ribbon mics, they're about as expensive as things get. Yeah. But then again, it's probably, if I like them, they're probably never gonna leave my kit. Yeah. Hey, I had a funny idea the other day, and I want to see what you think of this. I pitched it to Stevie. So a lot of modern recordings, right? So these days, there's amp modeling. You know, you can get a decent, you can get a SM7. You can record your vocal at home. Yep. The big thing that people can't do right is drums. Yeah. Yeah. That's the big one, right? One, yep. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. And then a lot of people have access to spaces. There's rehearsal spaces. There's, like people have practice spaces, all that sort of thing. Or people have recording studios set up that are done in a certain way that they're pretty good. But with a recording studio, you need to have shitloads of everything to get it all work. So you don't have, for example, like Wood River, love that space. They don't have heaps of the microphones I like. Yep. And they don't have
the pre's.
The pre's, the drums, all of it. My idea, right, was a nationwide drum recording service where my van, I show up with 2 or 3 drum kits. I've got a vintage one, a modern one, and a whatever. I've got a selection of bullshit microphones. I've got heaps of pre's. Stands, the works. Yep. So, and basically you hire me, I show up
mobile recording.
I'm not even tracking it. Yeah. I'm just providing all the gear. I'm tuning the kit because that's the other thing. People don't know how to tune kits. Yeah. So I tune the kit. I service it because people don't know how to record drums, really. Yeah.
There's so much to it.
So much to it. Yeah. And it's like I've spent my life doing just that because I'm a drummer. That's my thing. So what do you think of that? Like where I go around and I take, because you know how sometimes you got to hire kits? Yeah. And you might have to hire mics. Yeah. You might have to hire bits and pieces, and then you can need a drum tech to, Yeah. I will do all of it.
I think like as people go more and more into home studios, it is definitely something that is always going to be needed as a service. And like that's why people go to big studios to do their drums.
It's not even a home studio thing I'm thinking of because those people don't have the budgets anyway. I'm thinking of like big recordings, like your Parkway drives or whatever. You know, like because they need a drum, they need a hire kit, they need a tech. And then I've got all these extra I just thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah,
where you charge a day rate and you show up with all this stuff. And
let us know.
Everything's taken care of.
Maybe we should get everyone.
Anyway,
let us know in the comments.
I've seen similar like business ideas before. Just nothing that encapsulates the kit and the microphones all together.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like, as I said, like as bigger studios shut down though, there's less spaces to do that. Yeah. Like that can offer that.
Well, like let me put it this way.
So I think there's definitely a need. Like there'd be a need. Somewhere.
Well, let's put it this way. So you've got a band that comes in. They've got a $5,000 budget for their EP. You are not confident with the drums. Like you're confident with everything but the drums. And you know it's going to go well. Yeah. Would you say spend a fifth of your budget, $1,000 on having someone come in just to make sure that drum day goes perfectly?
I think that'd be a wise move for someone doing it. Like I can totally get behind what you're saying.
I think in terms of spending money in the studio is actually like a smart way to do it because like you don't need to go and. You've got one person that's doing it all. They know all their gear. They know the way it interacts, the drum kit to the microphones, to the preamps. And when you actually look at that dollar figure, $1,000 for the day, when you consider all those things together, it's really not that bad. No. I mean, that's just a figure I just came up with out of nowhere. But it was just an interesting thought that I haven't really seen done before. Yeah. Yeah. Look,
I think especially because of Australia's like lack of big studios and lack of that stuff, I think you could definitely.
I mean, it's a super niche idea, and you'd probably have fucking 5 clients a year. Like it'd be pretty chill. But anyway, just an idea. Like especially like accumulating all this kind of shit. Like be cool. Yeah, cool. Fuck yeah, dude.
Dude, more ribbons.
Yeah,
more ribbons, bro.
We've got heavily over time, hey. Yeah, for this first one?
We're probably right to wrap up this one, I reckon.
I think we're good there. Hey,
cool.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, I'm heaps keen to try that out.
The Behringer?
The Behringer and this one too.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so keen to hear your thoughts on the SDC.
Yeah.
Like, it's a game changer for me.
Just quickly, do you know about the pedal, the hotcake?
No.
It was designed for the AC30.
To get more gain on the way in?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
now it's all...
Yeah,
This was actually something I was going to ask you, actually.
Overdrive pedals? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Because,
yeah.
like, I've got some overdrive pedals.
There's a
but-
couple. So I think the one overdrive pedal everyone should own is the OCD.
Is this from Full Tone?
Yes. No.
It just looks like...
You're thinking of the full tone OCD, which is the
Yeah.
one I was just about to talk to.
Yeah.
So this one here, I think, is one of the
best
coolest
overdrive.
Yeah, I was going to say underrated. It's not underrated because they're so culty, but I think everyone should own one of these.
Yeah.
And then I've been told this is also a cool version, but it was built specifically for the AC30. And they're from New Zealand.
Ooh.
So and they're not expensive. That's
Yeah.
$269 new. So I've seen them go for $150 used.
Yeah,
but
cool.
specifically designed for your amp. I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do want to be able to get a bit more gain on that one. That's a cool one. I'll look into it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Hot
Hot cake.
end there. Nice, man.
Sick.
Thank you very much.
Dude.
See you next week.
Done.
Cool.
Hot cake. Stop trying to make me spend money.